going on, guys? It's Shannon bringing you guys another video from locals at TGS. I believe it was 2 weeks ago. Facing my buddy Justin using a Belo Betty. He won dice roll, so he chose to go second, which is probably the curve that they want. Obviously, because then you could do, your Ivankov on turn 2, buffing it with your leader ability to cheat out another body. So, figure that's the curve that they want. Which you do see that he does find the Ivankov, which if it's at a 7k, you can play out to 1 rev army with 5k or less. So I'm going second, I'm going first. So it's my turn 2. I believe I played on a Hongo where I can activate main, rest him to give something minus 2k, and I do that just so I can be able to get rid of the Belo Betty when you swing. So playing out the little bodies just so that when he decides to swing at me, I'd be able to remove his little swings, which is the whole point of what I'm trying to do. And you're going to see here he's going to start putting some pressure because he will do his leader ability and he will be able to swing with the Belo Betty, which in all honesty probably is not the move to do. I would have probably kept it up just so kind of wait, but you kind of want to pressure at the same time. So with Ivankov, he ends up playing Morley, which is if he's at 7k, I cannot activate a blocker. So he swings 5. I use the leader ability to get out of it, and then I take the next swing with that his leader does, giving myself some options. So I do the activate main to get the Ivankov down to 3k, play out the Marco for 5 to pop it, and I swing at the Belo Betty. So able to remove 2 bodies off his field, which again, in the Belo Betty matchup, you don't want to swing at their life right away. You want to build a board because you don't know what they could trigger out of life. And also, I don't want to give them the card advantage so they can pop off their leader ability as consistent, or they might be able to find the pieces that they need. So I focus on the board removal, and getting rid of that Ivankov was exactly what I needed to do. And here he plays out another Ivankov, which I believe lets him look at the top 4 or 5 cards out of his deck and play out a Rev Army card, if I'm not mistaken. So it looks like he's going to play out a Karasu from this Ivankov search. And I will verify that Ivankov here as well, because I rarely see it, and Justin's one of the only Belo players that I've seen in the area recently. So yeah, that Ivankov is look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, play up to 1 Rev Army card with 5,000 or less, then return the remaining cards to the bottom of the deck. So he attaches a Don, swings 6 at the Hongo. I have to let it go. I'm not going to dump counter for it. If I did, you still had the more to swing at it. So I believe I just played Ben Beckman, and I'm deciding on what I want to trash from his field. And I opt to do the Ivankov since it had the higher stat line. If he buffs it, it'll be a 9k swing. The Karasu is just a 4k, and the Morley is just a 5. So taking the higher stat one, just so that I'd have an easier time countering out of the rest, which is still a little rough. I pass turn also, I don't swing again. And I believe at this point, Justin only has probably like 4 cards. Oh no, he's got a decent amount. He plays the Ivankov again, which is looking at top 3. So he's playing for free, which is pretty good with this Ivankov. And plays out the Lindbergh. The Lindbergh is a 7k stat line. You can pop a 3k or less. So he would have been able to pop the Hongo with the Lindbergh. Luckily for me, I don't have it anymore. I don't care to put out the little bodies at this point because now he's playing out the bigger stuff. The Hongo or like any of the other 3 costs were only meant for like his Belo Betty or Kumas. That way he can't pop the leader ability off very often. So here he does his leader ability. He's gonna buff up the 3, which here he's considering on what to do. Whether to bump up the Ivankov or the Lindbergh. If I had 2 Don up and he didn't buff his Lindbergh up, I could have brought him down with my leader ability and then used Red Hawk, and I could have popped the Lindbergh, which is what he was considering here. He didn't remember what the card did. I let him know. Just a local, not a big event. So he buffs the Lindbergh, which is the correct choice to do. And you do see the Red Hawk. I do have it in. So he swings at the Karasu, swinging for, I believe, 7 currently. And I do leader ability and give him a 2k to get out of that swing. Which, at best now, I'm only going to take an 8k swing from the Morley and like a 5 from his leader, which I can counter out. But it looks like I'm contemplating whether to take life or not. And I do take the life for both of them. I know I have the counter, but I think I'm just trying to find different pieces to try to remove board. And I believe next turn I'll be at 9 Don. So if I have another Ben Beckman, I can get rid of something else. But you see here, Justin is now 5 characters wide, which in all honesty is what you want to do with Belo Betty. Because now, next turn, you can buff up 3 of the 5 and attach Don to the rest and just swing out real big to a point I'm in trouble. But only 2 cards in hand. At this point now, I know I'll be able to remove these cards from the field no problem. So I'm swinging 5 at the Karasu. I swing with leader first just so I can bait out a 2k counter if he really tries to save this Karasu. And if he does, the Marco and the Ben Beckman have an easy time clearing the rest. So I swing 7 at the Morley. He gives me the other Karasu. Swing 6. At this point, again, here is where he's going to have to give me a 2k counter here. But I at least was able to remove 2 bodies from the field this turn. So gives me a 2k counter, exactly what I figured it would do. 7 for another Ben Beckman, and we're going to choose the Ivankov. I choose the Ivankov strictly because, again, if he tries to do leader ability, it'll be a 9k stat line, but on my side, I left 2 down up for a Gum Gum Red Hawk, so if I do my leader ability on the one he doesn't attack, I'm hoping he doesn't do his leader ability first. I can pop the other one and counter out, so all comes down to how Justin's going to do it. And he's in a spot where using his leader ability is kind of tricky because at best he could play out 1 more card and chuck, and then he'll have nothing left in hand. So this is where the starving of Belo Betty kind of helps, of not swinging at their life, which is exactly how you want to play it while trying to keep control of their board. So luckily I've had answers for pretty much every move they've had. And here he's attaching 8 Don and swinging. Now I use my leader ability, tap the 2 Red Hawk, and I'm going to pop the Lindbergh, which luckily for me, he didn't attach any Don. If he would have attached the Don to the Lindbergh before swinging, even with my leader ability, it would have still been a 5k, so he could have played around that. So when playing against Shanks, if you see the 2 Red Hawk, or 2 Don up, expect a Red Hawk. They could be faking it, but more than likely half the time they're gonna go for a pop on the field. My bad, a little under the weather. So swing 7 at lead. I give him a 2k and a 1k. At this point now, I'm trying to keep my life up. I believe I have 4 cards in hand, so don't want to take too much damage here. So here he plays he plays an Inazuma, which Inazuma currently has Rush since the Morley is at 8k. I did read the comments from last video against the Belo Betty. Inazuma cannot give himself Rush, so as long as the Morley was at the 7k stat line, it has Rush. So now I'm going to start swinging at lead. Swing 5. And I think I might have a Rayleigh in hand, but I'm starting to put some pressure on the Belo Betty. No, I don't have a Rayleigh. But at this point, I think I could pretty much survive out of whatever he's going to swing at me, as long as he doesn't trigger anything. Which now he triggers out of Belo Betty. which is the one that can search off draw, I believe. So, yeah, the trigger, if the total of 5 or less cards, play this card. If you have 2 or less life, draw 1 card. So, he was able to draw off the trigger from the Belo Betty. My past turn, and before I do play out 2 blocker Rayleighs to ensure that I survive. So that's why I was pretty much swinging wide. Not really worried about him triggering out a body. And looks like I have a total of 4K in hand. Who knows, I could probably trigger out a Red Hawk from life. At this point, Justin's in a pretty bad spot. Only 3 cards in hand after he searches his Karasu, which could be very beneficial for him. That was the first Karasu he found all game, which really benefits me because the Karasu can help him out very much. So, which now with it being on play is going to lower my Shanks leader down by 1,000. So it's going to be a 4. Obviously, the Shanks, my leader card, will give something minus 1,000, which will help with countering out a little bit. I believe he's swinging it. I don't know. I didn't see if he used leader ability, but no, I don't think he did. So this is just a normal 6K to 4K swing. I could use ability, so I do use my leader ability on his leader to make it a little bit more awkward, and I take the life. Rather not block with the Rayleighs right now if I don't have to, just because on the next turn I can use those Rayleighs to get more swings in instead of giving them up. But it looks like he did use his leader ability, and I do counter out of that swing because it's only a 7K, so I give him 2 2Ks. And then now, if he wants to swing with his lead, he can swing directly just because it is a 4K because of my leader. But it looks like he's contemplating on whether to swing out or not. At best, he could probably swing at a Ben Beckman, which is what I think he's going to try to do on a board clear. But I think this is where I'm going to give him one of the Rayleighs if he goes for Ben Beckman. Because it's not worth giving up I'm going to give him a Rayleigh because it's not worth giving up to Ben Beckman. Yeah, so I'm going to give him a Rayleigh, and after this, I'm going to just swing out with everything else. And I'm going to be able to make it through no trigger out of life, no blocker trigger at least. And get the win here. So, if you guys like the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you guys thought, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.